right, everybody, we are going to go ahead and get started with today's Tech Talk on wireless printing. I just want to preface this Tech Talk by saying it is being recorded and it will be available on our YouTube channel. I also plan on emailing this PowerPoint presentation to you all so you have the ability to access it from home. So, just a quick introduction. My name is Nate. I am one of the adult services librarians here at the Morton Grove Public Library. And I do tech support from time to time. And yeah, and so let's go ahead and get started. Before I forget, I should also say if we could try to save our questions to the end of the session, we'll make time for that. But you can always put something in the chat as well. Okay, so wireless printing. We offer three ways to print wirelessly here at the Morton Grove Public Library. Printing and wireless printing is available for all residents, so you don't have to be a Morton Grove resident to print here. Printing is 10 cents a page for both black and white and color. And in terms of payment, we take cash and we take card, and as well as change. Um, we don't take beyond a $5 bill. If you're curious, you would just need to get change at our circulation desk if you had more than a $5 bill. But there are three ways to print wirelessly, and all of these ways can be done even before you come to the library. The first is by email. The second is through the ePrinted app. And the third is through the MGPL website. And we'll be going through all of these in just a moment. So let's start with printing via email. If you're using a computer and want to print via email, the steps you're going to want to take are you're going to want to locate your item that you want to print, whether this item is a picture on the internet or a file that is already saved on your computer. If it's not already saved on your computer, that is the next step. You're going to want to save it as a file. And then you're going to want to open your email and click on the paperclip button to attach the item to your email and locate the item in your files and select. I should also pause by saying I'm going to walk through this in just a moment. I'm just reading it step by step before we begin. We're going to enter in the MGPL printer email address. There are two MGPL email addresses to send to, one for black and white and one for color, as we see there. They're a bit lengthy. After you enter it in, we would hit send, and then we would eventually get a reply code. And then that code we would enter at the pay station when we arrive. So I'm going to share my screen and walk you through this really quickly. Let's go ahead. Here. Okay. So if we want to send an email to our printer server, we're going to use my email as an example. This is what my work email looks like. Very cool, very professional. And I am going to send a picture of the Morton Grove Public Library to our printer. And so the easiest way to do this, I'm going to go to Google, open up a Google tab. I'll type in the Morton Grove Public Library. And then if I want a picture, the easiest thing to do would be to go up here and go to images. Aha, I see this cute little picture in the top left corner from our Wikipedia page, no less. Looks like a really cute photo. So I need to save this photo to my files since it's not already saved. Just going to right click here, scroll down to save image as, and I'm going to save it to a place where I can easily find it, which is usually the desktop of your computer. And as you can see, I have a couple other images from some other books here. I'm just going to call this MGPL. I'm going to save it. Now we have the file. Now we get to send it. So I'm going to compose my email. Going to new email or new mail. Typically, this is what it looks. So this is what it looks like with Outlook, with Gmail or Yahoo. There's always going to be a button to compose email or send new email. And in the to section right up here, this is where we're going to send it to the printing server link that we discussed in the PowerPoint. So it is a color picture. So I'm going to enter in the color email address that we have, color-mgpl at eprintitsaas.com. I'm going to make sure that it looks good, and it does. Give it a subject line, MGPL photo, and then I might just put a note that says photo here. Then we need to attach the file. When you attach a file, it's usually the paperclip icon on your email. It might be in a different location depending on what email you use, whether that's Gmail or Yahoo. In this case, Outlook. It says attach file. And then since I saved it on my computer, I'm going to browse this computer. And if you remember, I saved the photo to my desktop so I could easily find it. And I called it MGPL. It's right here. And it loads up. Might take a moment, and there we get a little cute little preview of it. Right there, we know it's attached. And now the next step is to send it on through. And then within the next few moments, what I can expect in my inbox is an email confirming that the print job was sent with a code that I could use to enter. While that's loading, let's go ahead and go back to the PowerPoint. So when most people print via email, they actually are using their smartphone. This is how I've seen it done at the library most often. This is usually the most popular way that people do print. A moment here to share my screen once again. And so when you use a smartphone, you're going to follow somewhat similar steps as you would to use a computer. You'd want to locate the item and save it to your phone. If it's a photo, you would save it to your gallery. If it's a text message that you'd like to print or part of a text message that someone sent to you, you could use the screen grab function on your phone and save it to your gallery. If you're not sure what the screen grab function is, the screen grab function is actually a great way to take a picture of what is currently on your phone and turn it into, in a sense, a picture file. And most phones, the way you can do a screen grab is by pressing one of the volume keys. It's usually the down volume key and the power button at the same time. And then your photo will snap a photo. Now, unfortunately, I have no way of showing this to you through this PowerPoint without doing it as a video. But it is a very simple process, and this could also be used for taking pictures. So once you have your photo or your text message saved as a screen grab, you can just follow the same exact steps that we did with the computer, where you would open up your email, which is usually your Gmail, Google Mail, Yahoo Mail, or Outlook, or what have you. Then you could type in the email again, whether it is the black and white BW-MGPL or color-MGPL, and then you would send it. And you would also want to make sure to attach the picture by pressing the paperclip button, as we saw. And then you would eventually receive a confirmation email saying it was successfully received with the code. Another quick thing you could do on your phone is to use the share option. This kind of could speed things up a bit for you. So when you look at a photo on your phone, or something in your gallery, whether it's a document, oftentimes you'll see an icon that looks either like this one here with a square and an arrow facing up for iPhone users, or this one over here with three dots in a semi-triangle that's for Android users. That's the share option. And when you select this button, you could share the document and send it to our printer that way. You'd press the button, and then it'll ask you how you want to share it, which would be via email. Then the phone will automatically take you to your email application where you could send it. All right. So it's been a couple minutes, so I want to see if we received that confirmation code, and I want to show you what it looks like. One moment while I swap share screens. All right, and it looks like I still haven't received it, and I'm not sure as to why. Sometimes it might take some time to go through, but you should receive a confirmation email shortly. And this is actually something that I did want to address with common issues with printing via email. One moment here. So some common issues when printing via email, the way we just did. The most common issue is the email is entered incorrectly. Now, we just checked that it was entered correctly, but oftentimes if a certain letter is not put in correctly, or there's not an at symbol in the email, it will not work, and it has to be exactly as shown. And as you can see, they are quite long, so it is kind of a pain in the butt to enter. But the good news is, once you enter either of these emails into your email, it will usually save so you don't have to enter the whole thing again. You could start by pressing BW or by color, and then it should autofill. So you don't have to enter it in every single time. Another common issue with this method is too many attachments. It will slow the email down. So for the email that we just did as a test, I sent one photo, and it really should not be a problem. But if you send multiple photos or documents that are hundreds of pages long, which can happen, it might take a while for it to go through the printing server. Another problem is that the attachment photo will print the size of the email body. So what that means is if you take a photo from your phone or a screenshot, as we discussed, and put it in your email, it will print out very small. And unfortunately, via email, you cannot specify the size of the photo or how many copies. So that's why printing via email is usually a quick way to do it. If you know you're just printing out something simple, like a typed up document with no pictures, it's very quick. But again, you aren't able to edit the photo or change it in any way. So before I move on to the next version, which is printing via the app, why don't we take a moment? Does anyone have any questions? You could go ahead and type it in the chat, or if you are unable to unmute yourself and you would like to ask, please feel free to do so. I'll check the chat. All right. So I don't see any questions for now. So let's go ahead and move along. So the next way to print is via the app. And the first thing you would need to do if you've never printed with the app before is to download it. And so if you're using a smartphone, you'll just want to go to your app store and then type in ePrintIt SAAS. Oh, I see a question in the chat. Are photos printed on photo paper or regular paper? That's the great question, Kevin. So anything printed at our library, we only have standard paper. We have three different sizes. So there's standard 8.5 by 11, legal, which is 11 by 4, 8.5 by 14, and then tabloid 11 by 17. But they're all standard style paper. But if you're looking for like glossy paper or a certain stock thickness of paper, that's something that you would actually have to purchase on your own and bring in, and you can print it on that paper. You would just need to discuss with the librarian at the printer station about inserting it into the printer, and then you could print it on that paper. That happens quite frequently where people might print out a photo or business cards for cardstock. They bring their own cardstock paper, insert it into the printer feeder, and print it that way. So, to answer your question, it's a standard paper that we have, but you can bring your own to print on if you'd like. So going back to the app, we would want to make sure it's downloaded, the ePrint SaaS app. And then once it's downloaded, you would open the app and select what you'd like to print. So on the right-hand side over here, I have a phone. I use the screen grab function on my phone, which is an Android, to take a picture of what the ePrint app looks like when you open it up. We have the option to if it's something that's in an email or your pictures or your files and a few other things like Google Drive or Dropbox. When you select either these options, email, pictures, or files, the app will automatically take you to the files or pictures in your phone, and you could select it to print. Towards the bottom of the picture, you'll notice there's a library selected. That is the Morton Grove Public Library. When you do open the app, you will need to select the Morton Grove Public Library so it knows where you're sending your print job. That's important to note because a number of other libraries use the same system, and you might accidentally send it to the wrong library. So that's why you want to make sure you select the Morton Grove Public Library. The application will ask you for access to your files when you want to select your print job. And you have two things. You could say limited access or full access. I find it best to just say allow limited access because you're just using it for the time being. But both will work, and this will grant the application to access your files because it needs to access it so you could select it to print. So once access is allowed, you could select the item that is in your phone that you want to print. And then the app will also ask you to use location services, and this will help it also identify which library it's going to use. And so it will display nearby libraries to your vicinity. And in this case, you could select Morton Grove Public Library. And something I should also say, since many other libraries use this, you can use this app to print at another library as long as they have this system, which most do. So if you find yourself close to a neighboring library like Evanston or Skokie or Glenview or one of the many, and you see it up there, you can use that as well, although their prices and printing may differ. So after you select Morton Grove Library, you can select the amount of copies you want. You can select the size paper you want, whether that's regular, standard, legal, or ledger. And then once you do that, it will give you a cost estimation. And on the right-hand side, again, there's another screen grab of what the app will look like when you get to this stage. In this picture that I have here, I've selected or submitted one photo to print. It gives me the paper size, what the cost would be, and then towards the bottom, it gives me an estimated job cost. Since this was one standard photo, I need to have by 11, it has come down to 10 cents. Then the most important part is entering a name or your library card number. So at the bottom, it says, on this picture, it says enter guest name or library card number. I enter Nate, which is not enough. It says minimum 5 characters, but I was just doing this as a test. So you could put your names or a name that you'd recognize or your library card number. And then once that is submitted or once that's entered, you can hit the submit button and it will go through. Again, it might take a few moments to go through, but it's anticipating that you're setting this before coming into the library, and then by the time you arrive, it should be ready to access at the printing station. And then, yes, so when you arrive at the library, you'll go to the printing station, and then you'll enter the name you submitted or your library card number if you submitted that at the printing station to access your jobs, and then you would pay, and then it would print. So this application, there are a little less issues with this one that I find. It's mostly just making sure that your phone or device is connected to the internet, whether that's the Wi-Fi is turned on or off. And if your Wi-Fi is turned off, is your data turned on? If it's not turned on, then the app won't work and you won't be able to send anything. And I should also add that, again, another issue is, are you selecting the correct library to make sure that you have selected the Morton Grove Public Library? Now, I find that most people, again, use the email method that we did previously, but the app is a pretty good way, a little more secure way to do it, as it does allow you to select the amount of copies you want and the size, which is great. So let's take a quick pause here. We're about to move into the final way to print, which is using the Morton Grove Public Library website. So before I continue, I do want to take a moment to see if anyone has any questions, whether it's about this app or anything mentioned thus far. And again, you could unmute your mic or post in the chat. Okay, we can keep moving along, but if you have something in the chat, you can go ahead and message that. But let's go ahead and move on to the third and final way to print, which is via the MGPL website. And you're going to do similar methods that you would do with email, where you would locate the item you want to print and save the item as a file on your computer the same way we did with the email. But this time, instead of going to your email, you'd go to the Morton Grove Public Library website, as pictured over here on the right-hand side. And then we're going to select Resources at the top left. And then under the Resources tab, there will be a Technology header. And then we'll select Print, Copy, Scan, and Fax. Again, I'll walk through this as well in just a moment. You'll be taken to a new page that'll look like this in the picture. And you'll want to select in the big purple button at the bottom, Submit Print Job. And that will take you to the printing servers page, which will look like this on the right-hand side. It says, welcome to our wireless printing service. And when you're doing it this way, you have a couple ways you could add files to print. You can drag and drop your files or select your files by pressing the button that says Select Files. You can select paper size and color, just like you can in the app. And then again, just like the app, you'll want to enter your name or your library card number, just so you know how to access it once you arrive to the library. You can also enter an email or phone number for a receipt, and then you could hit submit, and then we would access it at the pay station. So let's go ahead and take a moment to walk through doing this way, which again is very similar to the email method. So I'm going to pause my sharing for just a moment. All right, and let's go ahead and go to the Morton Grove Public Library's site. We'll start from the beginning. It's mgpl.org. And right under Resources, under Technology, it says Print, Copy, Scan, Fax. We'll select that. And then right down here, it says Submit a Print Job. We will select that. Again, takes us to our printing page where it says, welcome to our wireless printing service, Morton Grove Public Library. See our logo on the top left. And I'm going to submit that Morton Grove Public Library picture that I found earlier. Now it's already saved to my files on my desktop. So I can just go right here where it says Select Files. I'll touch that, click that. And then again, this is on my desktop. And it's the MGPL picture. Selecting it right here, and it adds it to the printing queue right here. It says mgpl.jpg, that is the file. I can select how many copies I want, whether I want 5 or just 1. We'll just do 1 in this case. Since it's a color picture, I want it in color. I'm going to hit the drop down button and hit color. And then this is for selecting if you want it on multiple sides. For paper size, it's a small photo, so I'm going to keep it on letter, but you can also print on legal or tabloid. If I haven't mentioned this already, tabloid is best for posters. If you're ever printing something that's like a poster, that's what you're going to use, that size. And you can also select the page range if you're printing a multiple document. But in this case, it's just one page, one photo, so we can just select all. And then right here under enter guest name or library card number, I can put in my library card number, but in this case, I'm just going to put my name. It meets the characters, and then I could put in my mobile number for a receipt, and it'll just tell me what it costs. Actually, I shouldn't show my phone number to the public, so I'm not going to do that. Pretend you didn't see that. Haha. All right, so I'm going to hit submit. It's going to take a moment to load. I don't know if you can see, but my screen is going through the motions of submitting it. And here we go. We got a notification that said job submission successful. Use this guest name, which in this case is Nathan, to retrieve your printouts. And so then I would go to the printer station and I would type in my name to access my print job. So I didn't really include a slide, excuse me, for problems or issues with using the website. But again, there similar issues could be if you're submitting something that is a rather large file. Like if you submit something that is hundreds and hundreds of pages long, it might take a while to go through. So that concludes the end of this tech talk. So I want to open up for any questions regarding what we discussed, but also for anything regarding printing. We do have some time.